Hello, my fellow classmates. Today I'll be presenting on how to do this question in the Week 8 Quiz Access, Chapter 4, Question 7. So, the question says, the following list includes temporary accounts from December 31st, the adjusted trial balance of Amico Company. Use these normal account balances to journalize closing entries. And then it has the different accounts right here of dividends, sales, returns and allowances, sales discounts, cost of goods sold, sales, sellers expense, utilities expense, sellers expense, administrative expenses with its following amounts in each account. And you scroll down. And you get the first part of the journal entry, which is to record closing or credit balances in temporary accounts. So we learn about what merchandisers do to close temporary accounts in the reading, where to close credit balances we close sales with the income summary. We debit sales and we credit income summary. And then so if we go back, we see that sales has 541,000. So we'll go in and debit sales, because when we're closing, we're going to do the opposite. So sales has a credit amount, so we're going to debit it to close it. So we debit sales for 541,000, and we'll put that 541,000 into the income summary by crediting income summary, because income summary has a normal credit balance. We record that entry. Next, it wants us to record closing of debit balances. This one's a little more tedious, if I do say so myself. And the debit balances, we're going to debit income summary, because like I said, we're doing the opposite. So to close debit balances, we're going to credit them. And so the inverse would be debiting income summary by decreasing income summary by the expenses or debit accounts. And these are all the different debit accounts that the book lists of basically, expenses that the company has. So here we can see that it'll be all these of sales returns and allowances, sales discounts, cost of goods sold, and then the various expenses. Expenses because they have expenses after it. So we're going to put in each one separately. But you always start with debits, and we know we're debiting the income summary, just don't know how much yet. And the first one is sales return and allowances. So you're very messed up. You don't debit it, you credit it. So there you go. Credit for 18,100 sales discounts. What I usually like to do is just zoom out a bit so that I don't have to scroll up and down, which is quite useful. Sales discounts. I always have to scroll through. Discounts for 5,300. Cost of goods sold 218,000. Sales salaries expense, 51,000. Utilities expense, 16,500. Songs expense, 37,500. Administrative expense be 108,000. I always like to go back through and double check if I got the amounts right. Sales returns and allowances, 18,100. Just checking all these amounts to see if they correspond with these amounts. 5,300, 218,000, 51,000, 16,500, 37,500, 108,500, or 108,000. So once I have all that, we need to add all these amounts together to see how much we need to debit the income summary amount. We're looking for what we're putting into that box right there. So I just have Desmos up for a basic calculator. 1,000. You can use whatever calculator. I mean, Excel is a pretty good calculator too. As you see, I'm just putting the amounts from the list. Just going back and forth. Be easier on just using your phone or whatever. Right. And you should get 454,400. So that'd be the amount you put in, 454,400. And then you record the entry. Now, to close the income summary amount, it's same as any other closing income summary amount, where we debit the income summary amount for the amount that's in there, and then credit retained earnings for that same amount. Now we figure out how much to debit the income summary amount, how much that is supposed to be, by adding this and subtracting this amount. So adding how much credit you added to the income summary amount minus the amount of debit that you've added to the income summary amount. So we go back to 1. We see we credited it for 541,000. So 541,000 minus our debit, which is 454,400. 454,400. Which will get us 86,600. We're going to debit the income summary amount, or income summary account, for 86,600, and then credit the retained earnings account for the same amount. Now, it's asking us to record the closing of the dividends account, and we know the amount from this account up here, which is 36,000. 36 $36,000. And since it's a debit account, we're going to credit it to close it. And to close the dividends account, we debit the retained earnings account. So it'll be 36,000. And we can see that in the reading down here where we debit retained earnings and credit dividends. And then if you check your work, it should be complete and correct. And that's how you solve week 8, Quizzaxis chapter 4, question 7. Thank you.